What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to episode 12 of the HUSLA podcast. I think it's 12. I don't know. Again, as always, formality here. I've got to let everyone know that Cam stole my spot, and I'm not happy about it. Thank you for listening to our last podcast, guys, and thank you to everyone who shared it. There were actually 0 shares, so we can't give away the giveaway. It. You don't go in the draw to win the giveaway, Hughes.
Damn.
But we have no draw for the giveaway. So what we've been thinking is that we're going to give it away to someone who we believe would benefit from it, and I already know who I want it to be. Connor C, you're a big supporter. Came down to the gym once. He's a uni student, and we want to give this to him. We think it'll really benefit him. So Connor, Cam will be in touch.
Sweet.
Anyway, as you guys can see, Sawan is back. He has been on foot. And he's on the comeback. How long has it been? 10 weeks? 9 weeks.
I think it's 9.
9 weeks on foot. Training upper like no tomorrow for the first little bit. And now he's back to trying to bring back that mass in the right leg. Sounds like me.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we should talk about how your recovery's been, and actually, you know what? You haven't been on the podcast since, so let's talk about the surgery.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
It's been that long.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you haven't seen, Sawan's done like every week he's put up a video on his recovery on his personal account, and it's actually really good and funny as well. But week by week, from pre-surgery to post-surgery. There's some good information on his account, so go and check that out. Anyway, take us from the beginning, bro.
All right. So, injury happened late last year, and then I had to go to Bali pretty much like right after. I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks after. So, that was the first thing that went through my mind. I knew I had Bali booked, and I didn't want to obviously give up that trip. I was looking forward to it for a while. So, I was luckily able to do that. Obviously, was a little bit cautious with the stuff that I was doing, and jumping all over the place.
Skiing.
You know what? The tiles are so slippery there in all the shops and stuff. So
I took a tumble there once.
Yeah, I was like
after rain,
and like it was raining a lot when we were there. We had really crap weather, so we were like on the side of the street. You know, if you've been to Bali, you'd know it's pretty shitty. Like it's like uneven, like I'm talking about like the roads,
the infrastructure.
Infrastructure, yeah, man.
It's
like,
not safe.
Like especially we were staying in Seminyak, and like some of the roads and stuff were just shocking, like really slippery and stuff. So it was actually like really difficult to be cautious. There was a few times where I slipped. I remember one time I hit like a little kind of rock that was, you know, angled up a little bit, and my knee was like killing me for the next hour. We were at dinner and I was just in agony, but I got through it. I had to do a fair bit of prehab, so I pretty much started prehab right away, just trying to get myself ready for surgery. The idea was to just try and go in with as little amount of swelling and most range of motion that I could achieve, and obviously maintain as much strength as possible too. So I did have to actually hit it quite hard. Like I was training in Bali too. I didn't want to spend that couple of weeks not doing anything because my surgery was booked for the 9th of Jan.
Is that standard practice?
Yeah, like that is what you should be doing. A lot of people actually, with all the ACL videos that I've been putting out, just documenting the journey, I've had so many people, like it's actually crazy, so many people that have either just done the ACL, going through the rehab process now, or, have surgery booked. And so many people were asking, like, do I have to be doing this? They were kind of worried and stuff. And I was like, look, don't be worried. Like, regardless, you'll be fine. You can obviously rehab afterwards and stuff. But it is going to set you up better if you spend that first however long prehabbing really well, getting yourself in a really good position to come out of surgery as strong as possible. Because, you come out of surgery like me, I had to do 6 weeks, pretty much minimal weight bearing. I was allowed 50%. So, yeah, not much. And it's crazy how much, strength and mobility you lose. I remember my first week of walking, I tested it out with my physio Jordan, and I cramped after doing 4 steps. My calf cramped. So even after doing all the prehab and stuff. So it's definitely not like a absolute magic thing that's going to just set you up to have no dramas at all, but it will improve your outcomes.
So what you're saying is it's not essentially standard practice, but it is somewhat like a smart thing to do.
Definitely.
And it will reduce the amount of time between surgery and getting back to full strength.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Yeah, I think that's worth like definitely noting like clearly that like you know the prehab is going to speed up your recovery.
Yeah, 100%. And like if you go to see, and this is the biggest piece of advice that I've been giving people is if you're going to do an ACL rehab, you really need to have someone experienced in your corner. And that's why, like, I'm not experienced with ACLs at all. And everyone's like, oh, you'll be great at rehabbing it yourself. You'll be fine and stuff. And I was like, nah, like I'm going to completely, rely on other people here. To be fair, that's with most injuries. I try not to, do too much myself. I like to put that decision making into somebody else's hands. But my physio, bit of a shout out here, but Jordan Radcliffe is an absolute gun. He has kind of gone into the ACL space over the last few years, and that's pretty much all he does now. And his experience and his knowledge was invaluable. Like beforehand, setting me up, doing the right things, knowing what to do from a prehab point of view as well, not just mucking around in the gym and potentially making things worse and irritating stuff. I had a specific kind of program that we wanted to work on, and
he's experienced.
Yeah, so experienced, and that's the biggest thing. Like I've had people say like, "Oh man, I'm 2-3 months in, and like I'm really not progressing well," and all this kind of thing. And I'm like, "Who's your physio? Who's running your rehab?" That's the number one biggest thing. Like invest in it. It's going to set you up way better, and it's going to reduce the chance of re-injury if you actually do a really proper rehab. So yeah, that was pretty much it up until the surgery. The surgery was on the 9th of Jan. First week or so was really rough. Like I couldn't sleep. I didn't have much of a consistent sleep routine for the first 2 weeks. I remember my first full night's sleep was I think right at the 2-week mark, which was nuts. Yeah, and I'm a heavy sleeper. Yeah, it was really bad. I was taking like melatonin tablets.
You can sleep anywhere.
Anywhere. Yeah. And all the painkillers and stuff, they didn't really help me much. Like even when I was actually doing my overnight stay in hospital, I had to have I think 2 or 3 morphine injections throughout the night, and it did nothing. Like I mean, it helped a little bit. It also made me a bit like tired, but it didn't actually help the pain too much.
You sent me a couple of photos of you looked a bit off your head.
Yeah, I was smashed. So yeah, it was pretty rough. And when you're in that first week or 2 weeks, you're like, man, this is gonna be so hard. It's pretty intimidating, to be honest, but it goes so quick. Like the first 6 weeks, I said this in one of my videos that I posted, it actually went quick. Like I looked back on it at the end of the 6 weeks once I started walking, I was like, that wasn't that bad. Like it was, when you're in it,
better in hindsight. Yeah,
exactly right.
Yeah.
When you're in it, you think the worst, and everyone kind of gets a little bit anxious about ACLs in general because it's such a big injury and a lot of complications and stuff if not done well. But yeah, it went quick. So got out of it.
What were you doing in those 6 weeks?
Ooh. Not much.
No. Like the boys are coming over. You were playing. What
you know what?
On repeat.
Oh, so Drugas brought over his Switch, and we were just playing like bulk Super Smash, which brought back the good old days of Nintendo 64. So that gave me something to do. I clocked a few TV shows, but to be honest, like I just wanted to work. I really wanted to work. I was doing some online consults and obviously coaching still online, which was good. I took all my work, like my monitor and my laptop and all my work stuff home, so I was able to work from home in a really funny position. I had to have my leg up. It was really uncomfortable and stuff, but I got it done. And it gave me that purpose. To be honest, I reckon if I didn't have that, I would have struggled a lot more. So I was really grateful to be able to still be able to work and do something, because that gave me a little bit of purpose. Because, when you're at home on your own for that long, you just start to think like, man, like I'm going nowhere right now, and you got really basic rehab to do. It's not like anything's going, like you're week to week, you're doing anything majorly different. It's just boring stuff. It's, range of motion exercises, little quad squeezes and stuff. So I was just hammering that as much as I could and then just trying to chill. But that novelty wore off quite quick, and then I just got super bored. But
now
we're back. We're back. And
now you're in the air.
Yeah, and I've been saying to everyone that's
if anyone's seen that reel.
Yeah, I didn't know where that was going for a second. Then I connected the dots.
Because I realized flying was just like a term that people use. Like, now you're flying, brother.
Yeah, actually flying.
Actually flying. Watch that reel on Swans again.
Yeah. But yeah, like you don't realize how much you need a little bit of a break as well until you just are forced to take one too. Like I've had you know, like little holidays and stuff in between since I opened my business, but I haven't had time where it's like just a chill period. Like I've been to Bali and stuff, but I end up coming back from that more tired than, you know, just being in Melbourne. So
what were we talking about when we were like, oh, I feel better. I can't remember what it was about, but we established that like, yeah, well, you're actually sleeping now. You're not working 14 hours a day.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was about.
I can't remember, but yeah, that would
stress,
make sense.
some sort of stress improvement we were talking about.
Yeah.
And like, you know, obviously you're at home sleeping, resting, like getting good quality chill time in.
Oh, was it the cortisol? So I did my blood test and and my cortisol was low.
Yeah.
And it was like, why is it low?
Probably.
But I actually did it when I wasn't working.
Yeah, probably.
And I was like, I was sleeping way better.
Yeah.
Like I was
way less on your plate.
Yeah, way less, like sleeping more as well. And yeah, like my blood test, my cortisol was actually low. So I was like pretty satisfied with that because, yeah, when you're working. And
you chopped like 70 hours of like either playing soccer or being at the gym working.
Oh, yeah.
Or like flattening yourself training.
Probably more.
Out of the week.
Yeah,
like
it was ridiculous. Like my schedule was just go for a long time, which I love. Like I've always loved being on the go. And that's why it was such a big change. But it's good to know that, you know, I've had that break now.
Yeah,
I'm feeling so refreshed.
Also, you'll take some of what of this into, you know, the next 12 months, you know.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, maybe
course.
I should like chill a little bit more because it'll improve everything else, you know.
Exactly right. And right now, like my ability to work and provide a, you know, high quality service to all my clients is in a better position than pre-surgery, pre-injury, I'll say. And like I said, yeah, you don't realize that until you're kind of forced. If you're one of those people that's just on the go all the time, you need to break that cycle to actually feel what it feels like to just have some chill time and relax a little bit. But yeah, we're back to some more advanced rehab now. I'm actually like loading a little bit in the gym and doing more fun stuff. It's still a big commitment. Like I'm doing 3, you know, dedicated sessions a week plus some other stuff at home. So it's a lot, but
you're back at work, yeah.
Back at work, which is good.
So you can see clients?
Yeah, I can see clients.
I knew the answer to that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to put that out there. Someone's back at work.
Yeah, back and loving it more than I've ever loved it. So, yeah, happy to be back.
50% off first consult. You see someone at APR.
Yeah. Is that legitimate or have you just thrown it?
No, that's legit. That's legit.
He's always done that.
Yeah, I've always done that.
I just had to do one like cheeky plug.
Yeah.
You know?
I didn't know if you'd just like thrown a promotion at him that he wasn't aware of.
No, because like in the last 3 weeks, I've seen you like 3 or 4 clients and they've been like dealing with injuries for like 6 months and you fix them like in the first session. and you know how I get them to go and see you? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, it's 50% off your first consult. Like, what? Really? Dead set?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, it ends up being pretty dirt cheap. And my whole idea behind that was just to build a little bit of trust with my clients. Like I understand how the industry is and most people's experiences with other therapists and practitioners. So the idea is like break that barrier a little bit, let people just trust me and let me kind of show them what I can do for them. And then, you know, I've never really had a client that's like books their first appointment and then just drops off and doesn't want to book another appointment to get on top of their injury, because they see that I'm, you know, genuinely kind of there for them and I want the best for them. So yeah.
Is it really common for a lot of myos and physios to like use that strategy of finding an injury someone has and then just booking them in for a million different appointments afterwards?
Oh yeah.
I find a lot of people talk about that.
Oh man,
just get
You
ripped
better see
off.
me every week so I can massage you.
Yeah, it's like I've had clients where they've been pre-booked twice a week for up to 12 or more weeks. One for treatment, like manual therapy and stuff, and then one for like in-clinic rehab that they could just do on their own if you gave them the program. Usually what I'll do is I'll take my clients through the stuff that we need to do and then I send them off with it. Like I don't need to baby them through if I'm confident that they know what they're doing and I've shown them how to do it and all that kind of thing. We really don't need to be sitting there babying them. I want to build a little bit of independence with those clients and make them feel like they can do all that on their own. Because at the end of the day, if you've done that 12 weeks and you've been, you know, somebody there with you the whole entire time, obviously maybe barring some extreme circumstances, then you're going to come out of that and you're going to be like, all right, now what do I do? You know, my 12 weeks is up. Like I'm now completely on my own. You probably lose a little bit of motivation to do it because you're so used to doing it with someone. And you also just feel a little bit lost because you don't have, you know, you haven't had the opportunity to actually like learn on your own a little bit. Like, oh, does
It
this
saves
feel
them
good?
money too, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
They don't come in every week.
And yeah, I just don't believe in that model. Like, I think it's crap. It's an old school, traditional kind of model.
Well, it's a good business model.
Great business
Recurring
model.
revenue.
Yeah, I reckon I'd have 5 therapists under me by now if
But
I followed
you'd
that
be
business model.
You'd be selling out.
Yeah,
That'd be what we call a sellout.
yeah, exactly right. And I can't do that. So it's never been my thing. My thing is always, build trust and then allow word of mouth referrals and a good reputation to help my business grow, as opposed to just ripping people off.
Mad. Anyway, so now like you're training legs and shit.
Yeah, training legs. The goal is to just try and get a quad pump at the moment. So it's
Have you
hard.
got one yet?
It's hard. Like the blood flow restriction cuffs helped. I did some leg extensions through like kind of quarter range today. Just some pulses, they're called. And I actually got a little bit of like pulsing up through the quarter range. Got a little bit of a pump, but yeah, it's not easy. Like it's actually quite hard. And some days it feels good, some days it feels sore. And
How long do you reckon your leg strengths will be quite similar?
well, put it this way, I haven't squatted past 90 degrees since late last year. So it's been like, 4-ish months of just not even going their body weight. So it's going to take a while, to be honest. I'm not sure exactly on the timeline.
Is there any like normative data on that? Like how long it'll take to return to?
Look, I think with ACLs especially, there's a lot of variability from case to case. So for me, for example, I had to do a meniscal repair.
Yeah.
I did a lateral tenodesis, which is where they kind of chop a little bit of your IT band and they reattach it to a certain different point in your knee to restrict excessive rotation and reduce the re-injury rate. But all that extra trauma to the knee means, it's going to be a little bit more sensitive. It's going to take longer to get back to things. Some people just get the graft done. So, I've got like 6 I got 3 big scars and then 3 other dots. Some people just have 1 or 2, the 2 dots and a scar. So, maybe they'll get back to strength quicker, but who knows how they end up.
You did the whole lot,
run.
so it could take you longer than...
Correct, yeah.
So you can't really say.
So it's a slow process, and yeah, I want to get back as soon as I can, but at the same time, I need to be very, cautious to make sure that I do things the right way and not push too much. But hopefully, Jordan, once again, absolute guru of a physio.
The G word.
Yeah, guru.
Do you reckon we can hear you chewing through that mic? No? Oh, okay.
You're telling me to mute my
I
mic.
told Lockie how to do his job sometimes.
Like he's eating banh mi.
I'm
right
eating
now.
a banh mi and I've got the mic muted, so I can leave it. Hang on.
All I could hear was...
Some
I can leave it on.
ASMR.
Yeah. I don't think you'll hear it.
Oh yeah, you will. That's a good crunch.
Yeah, I'm muted.
So Jordan pretty much wants all the swelling down by about 12-ish weeks. He did say that it's probably going to be a little bit longer for me because I'm on my feet a little bit more than your regular person. Don't work at a desk as much as other people as well. So, like I said, it's very variable. But I think once all the swelling's taken care of, I'll be able to work through more range. And then from there, it's just going to be, building the strength. So I'm not exactly sure 100% when I'm expected to be back to full kind of strength, but hopefully soon. Yeah. Doing some testing as well, which would be cool for the study that I'm a part of in about a month's time. So that'll be sick, and that'll give me a good idea of where things are at relative to before my surgery. So yeah, I've been pretty lucky to be a part of that. So we'll see how that goes.
What's the study? What is it?
Pretty much what they're doing is they're comparing quad versus hamstring grafts, and they want to see at pre-surgery and post-surgery what your quad and hamstring strength and size is like. So I do MRIs. I did them before and I'm doing them again after, and I'm also doing strength testing on some pretty funky equipment, like, high-end stuff.
Don't tell Jace.
Yeah, he'll go buy them.
Are they Nautilus?
Yeah, old school. Yeah, so pretty much that. So it'll be good to see kind of where all that stuff is at, and that'll help me obviously guide the rehab.
So they're comparing you
better.
that had a quad graft to other people who had hamstring grafts.
Yeah, my idea is I'll get a bunch of both and then see like who ends up performing well or better from a strength point of view and muscle mass point of view too.
Yeah, because the standard has always been hamstring graft, right?
In Australia, they're way more common. Yeah, overseas, to my understanding, like quads are a lot more common. It kind of depends as well, and this is something that I've kind of just given a little bit of advice to people that are about to do it as well. Is if you're doing like sports that are going to load the quad tendon a little bit more, a lot of jumping sports and all that kind of thing. it's potentially better to do the hammy. But for me, I don't do a lot of jumping. Mine's a lot more running. So I run a fair bit. So hammies are probably, going to cop a bigger beating doing that. So for me, and that's what I mean, like it's very individual. So speak to your surgeon, get an idea of that, maybe mention both and see what they have to say. Obviously they're the experts, but my surgeon was like, quad. It also kind of depends on what your quads are like too relative to your hammy. So if you've got really good quad mass, to my understanding, once again, they'll favour a quad graft. Yeah.
So you got big quads?
Somewhat. Relative to my hammies. And one other cool thing, and this goes back to like the actual pain. I wanted to mention this because it's something that really helped me with my confidence moving my knee, is when you're actually in the surgery, before they wrap it all up, they actually grab your knee and move it through full flexion and full extension a few times just to know that it moves through there. And that's potentially why you wake up in so much pain. Like for me, I hadn't moved past 90 degrees because it was really painful too, all up until my surgery. And then, I'm asleep and they're just moving it. So I'm going to wake up and I'm just, obviously I've had however many scars and incisions and stuff, but also they've been moving it through that range. It's quite painful. And then, you wake up and you can't move your knee. So it's like super stiff. So, what helped me, the confidence is like, I know it can get there. It's just my brain and my nervous system saying, hey, slow down. This is too much for now. Because that's all it is. A lot of the time, what's holding you back isn't the ability of the knee to actually move and stuff. And don't get worried about that, because I've had some people message me about that and say like, my knee's not bending much or my knee's not extending well, whatever. I'm like, it's all just, training and strength and slowly exposing it to that and building capacity there, and you'll get it. It'll come. Yeah.
So you go back to powerlifting after this? Do some grass squats or what?
I don't know about that, but
can we get you?
To be fair, I really want to like bury a pendulum squat. I can't wait. That's number one on the list.
Yeah.
I reckon.
You can squat full depth. Yeah. Didn't we have like hip irritation back in the day?
Oh yeah, back years ago. Yeah, but now I'm fine. Yeah.
All right. We'll get you into.
We'll go hard. Yeah.
Straight into low bars and
Straight into it.
Straight into some powerlifting. We'll get Cam to do your program.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds very good.
No athletic stuff, just strictly SBD.
Straight SBD.
Yep.
It's no risk to the ACL, is it?
Oh.
Maybe meniscus.
Depends. Depends what stage of the rehab process you're at.
After.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Yeah.
But I'm confident that I'm going to be back to full capacity. And you know what? Like, I've already learnt so much, and it's going to help me, I think, improve my, athleticism and movement coming out of this whole process. Like I said, leaning on somebody that's got heaps of knowledge throughout the whole process, and going through things like field-based rehab. So outside the gym, actually on a field, change of direction, all that kind of stuff is massive and super undervalued. So no doubt I would have been, doing some things movement-wise that are less optimal, whereas now I'll be able to clean up some of that stuff, hopefully, and move a little bit better too.
Very nice.
All right.
Chase, what's going on with you?
No, I was gonna throw it on you, Yugs. Nothing's new with me. I'm still prepping. Had a few thoughts right after the last podcast that I really didn't want to do it, but the prep has begun. Weights are moving well. I want to go there and be competitive, so we'll see how we go.
Yeah.
Where's body weight?
Body weight's like 92.5 to 93. It's a little bit up there.
What are you
Yeah, a bit
competing
heavy.
at?
A little bit heavy, yeah.
What are you competing at?
Under 90. About 24-hour weigh-in.
Yep.
And a 4 million hour drive.
Where is it?
It's in. It's not 4 million hours. It's It's in Orange.
Really?
Where's
3 hours
Orange?
out of Sydney.
Yep.
8 hours from here, drive wise.
When?
4.5 weeks.
Yeah. Weekend?
Saturday the 12th of April.
Yeah.
I
wanna come.
We're nursing. Come down.
Yeah, I might come.
We're nursing a little bit of shoulder pain. I'm working with Marcus at the moment, and always as usual. To what do we call it? Subscap tendon irritation.
Yeah.
It's actually killing me, to be honest with you. But I can still bench just, but I can't do any incline, any shoulder press. Doing some.
Tell him how it
internal
happens. How
rotation.
you irritated it.
This is how I think I irritate.
It makes so much sense.
So because I go fishing with Lockie and a few others. We always walk on the sand with like all of our shit, and it's like a lot. You know, we've got the drone, we've got an esky with ice in it, we've got like 6 fishing rods, chairs. What else?
Bait, snacks.
Fucking like so much shit. So I went to Bunnings and I got this. It's called a wagon, and it goes in the wagon as well. But I got this wagon, and it's like a tray with 4 wheels on it, and you like hold the handle and you drag it along like a beach wagon. It's like somewhat heavy duty, and I was putting like all these fishing rod holders and light holders and like a table on the side of it so we could just roll up. We've got a table, we've got lights all attached to it, fishing rods just slot in it, and we'd have someone pushing it and someone pulling it. And like I'm pretty sure I was doing up like a lot of like the bolts, because I had to like customize it so it would fit in the car. So it's like a lower, like grind off some metal and like drill some holes in, and it was like a lot of trial and error. And I'm pretty sure that's what irritated my shoulder, like tightening stuff.
Yeah, because like if we think about tendons hate like sudden spikes in load, and they don't know that you're fixing a wagon thing.
Yeah,
they
can we tell?
Your tendon doesn't know the difference between the gym and that.
Time.
All it knows is like I've just been doing a shit ton of internal rotation, like max efforts.
That I was cranking them down as well.
Yeah,
and it was like when you tighten a bolt, like I was going inwards on some of them because I couldn't go from behind it to like. Anyway, I was going inwards, and it was just like exactly where I feel the pain and the internal rotation.
I reckon you over tighten the bolts.
Cranking them, without a doubt, over tighten.
You always over tighten things.
I don't like retightening things.
So you go so tight.
You
go so tight that the metal ends up bending on whatever we're fastened. Like it's not going anywhere.
Oh yeah. Once the metal starts bending, it's tight enough. Do you remember when we did the? Were you there when I did one of the tricep extensions? We needed a longer bolt, so I just put the bolt through and like some spaces and just tightened it so the metal just like pulled in a little bit.
Oh, probably.
And then it reached the back pad because I was spacing out the. Anyway, I thought it was smart. It worked.
It's so tight the bolt hole's got an indent in it.
Yeah, I was doing my head in trying to find these imperial bolts. Like you just go to Bunnings, it's all metric. Anyway, so that's how I think I did my shoulder. So we're nursing it at the moment and making sure that it comes good. But I still benched Cam's PR on Monday for a single, even with the shoulder pain.
My PR in APA, which is a tested federation.
Boom.
Do we want to do this?
Topic.
Do we want to do this?
Tell me about your PRs when you were tested as well.
Yeah, when I was natty, my dots is still far beyond Cam's.
No dots in the jungle, bro.
No dots in the jungle, yeah. But do we want to add squat and deadlift
Settle
to
down,
this?
boys. Settle down.
Anyway, it's an unwinnable battle.
Because I've won it.
Because Cam's essentially apparently won it. Anyway, so I benched his max.
Powerlifting's you versus you, bro.
I benched his max easy on Monday, and the shoulder was all right. But yeah, again, like day 3 for me is like incline press, shoulder press, even some tricep extensions, a little bit how you going, and it doesn't seem to be getting better. But we only assessed it on Monday or Tuesday.
Yep. It'll get there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know it will. It's just annoying, but.
That's peaking.
Yeah.
Shit like that always flares up.
Yeah, or fishing.
Fishing, yeah.
One of the two. Anyway, I need to rebuild that wagon into like a more heavy duty one. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna.
We do that after the comp.
Yeah, we'll do it after the comp. But I'll call up my tendon. I'll let her know. Yeah. I'll book it in for the 13th of April, the day after the comp. Anyway, so there's nothing else new with me. That's it.
Talk us through most recent machines, because I know you want to.
So. I made the executive decision on the last 2 machines. Yeah, so I said to everyone, I go, look, we got these killer machines that I want to buy. Overhead bicep and tricep from Nautilus and Nitro Plus range. They're quality pieces. They all run off one weight stack. They're quite compact. And it's a flex shoulder, shorten position for the bicep and lengthen position for the tricep. And it's unlike anything we have here. We've got the older Nautilus pieces, but they're not as shoulder flex and they're quite rough. And only, me and a few of the bodybuilders like them because we like the old school stuff. No one else really uses them. So they said 1 in, 1 out, and I can't sell the old Nautilus ones that I refurbed that I was like banging on about in like episode 6 or 7 or whatever it was. I can't sell them because they're like antiques, you know, like, it'll be worth selling them without a doubt, but I couldn't. So we had a little bit of everyone pretty much said, no, Jason, you need to sell one, get one in. So what I ended up doing was we're selling anyone that wants a standing hamstring curl, we're selling that. So we took 1 out and we got 2 in, and I had to make the executive decision and buy them anyway. So we've got like 6 arm pieces, dedicated bicep and tricep pieces here now. So they're the new pieces. End of this month, or in about 10 to 14 days, we've got our Atlantis forearm and grip trainer. I've sort of mentioned it a couple of times, but also kept it quiet from a couple of things. But we've got all-on-one weight stacks, flexions, extensions, rotations, stations, stimulations, grips, rolls, all-on-one weight stack.
It'll be great for powerlifters, man.
I mean, look,
really, really good.
Look, if you can improve your grip strength, you can hold on to fucking anything. So, you know, when we're going out there catching sharks, I want to be able to make sure that I can hold on to the fishing rod.
Hurt your shoulder reeling a shark.
Hurt my shoulder reeling. That does. It does. Honestly, it does hurt. But anyway, so they're the new pieces. I don't think we've got anything else. You know, I've added a bit of weight to the tricep, added a bit of weight to the adductor, abductor. Is there anything else? We've got a new leg extension. We've got the new prime leg extension. That thing's crazy. Our old one,
very good.
100 times better than
the old one was a bit how you going, and we'd been waiting for the new one for a while now, because obviously with Prime, you know, you purchase, you wait, and then you keep waiting, and then after that you keep waiting, and then it arrives. But it's worth it, guys. And if anyone out there is looking for Prime Atlantis, you speak with Performax. That's who we deal with. So anyway, we got it. And it's sick. We moved it out yesterday, took some photos of the new HUSLA leg extension V3, the new version leg extension, a little bit longer, a little bit thicker. Here we go, a plug in here. A little bit longer, a little bit thicker, more room for your feet to move around when you're doing leg extensions. And it increases the range of motion by 8 centimeters from a leg extension. So anyone out there that gets on the leg extension and like it feels like there's not enough range of motion and you can get your feet further back, our leg extension we'll fix that for you. So we moved the whole machine out yesterday. It was pretty heavy, wasn't it, Lucky? He's nodding. And took some photos and some videos on that, and I think that's pretty much it for like new pieces. I don't think there's anything else. A couple of pieces in the pipeline
Is that
talking about.
That like extension that we got, is that their updated version of the one that we had?
That's their hybrid, so that's their heavy lifter range. So that's for like,
okay.
you know, the weight stack's heavier. It's actually the same weight stack, but the cam's larger, so the lever's longer, so it is heavier.
It's 10 times more stable.
It's more stable. It's got feet on the bottom of it, so the chair doesn't move around and stuff. It's really good. So that's what's new. There's a couple other pieces in the pipeline, but we'll leave them for another day. Cool. And let's get the limelight onto Cam's tattoos, which are on both quads, and they actually connect, and they don't go. I can't. They actually connect to each other. They head up his quads. They head up his quads, and they connect to the other leg
over the bridge.
Cut.
Cam, what's
Nah, they're covered up.
Yeah. What's Cam like? What have you been up to, bro? Talk us. I know you're cutting.
Yeah, so I've dropped since comp. I've dropped about 5 kilos, so I've gone pretty aggressive with the deficit. This will be my last.
Trying to come down to my weight.
Yeah,
trying to go head to head.
Yeah. So this will be my last week of the cut now. So I'd say I'll probably be down by the end of the week, 5.5 since comp. I feel like I've noticed the last sort of week and a bit, energy levels have been substantially lower. Like the first 2 weeks I find are always easy. If anything, I like it more because I'm not having to eat as much. And I just don't have to think about food as much. But
we spoke about this in the last podcast. This was strategic for you because hunger cues were like, you were not hungry at all.
Yeah. I'd like probably for the last 6 to 8 weeks of the peak, I'd just completely lost my appetite basically. And I was just feeling heavy and pretty gross.
Weak.
It was the heaviest I've ever been. Like I think I was sort of around the 101 mark prior to competing. So yeah, just felt heavy and not particularly healthy. So just been slamming steps, cutting. Haven't had a pump in a couple of weeks now. Cause
he got a pump like the day after. I'm like, what are you doing training? He's like, oh, I haven't had a pump in ages, Jace.
Yeah.
Comes out of hack squats, comes upstairs. He's like, dude, that hack squat killed me.
Yeah, no, it's like a full-on lie-down.
He's like, I was messed up after that.
Yeah. Hack squats ruin my day every time.
Yeah. So yeah, just been playing around with some variety. No comp spec stuff in at the moment. Just having a bit of a break. So hack squats, like my squat pattern, RDLs for a deadlift, and then just machine pressing for pressing work. Yeah, it's been good. Looking forward to getting food back up a little bit next week and just feeling a bit more energetic and stronger.
Yeah, I felt it when I dropped down those few kilos recently. It honestly like tanked my strength in the gym. Like it wasn't that little food either, but I definitely felt it. Like I gassed out like a couple of weeks before the block was ending. I was feeling pretty average. I was doing a lot of outside stuff as well, but it got me.
Yeah, it's hard work, and you want to be somewhat strategic with how you sort of plan deficits. I mean, sometimes you don't have the luxury of time on your hand, like if something last minute pops up. But
yeah, that's pretty much what happened. But we didn't want to do it in the prep.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, if you can not be in a hectic deficit when you're peaking for a comp, it's typically ideal.
That's what everyone does, though.
Yeah.
Everyone cuts into their comp, and then totals less than their training total.
Yeah. But yeah, been slamming bulk steps as well. Going
Preparation.
for lots of night walks, which is a good way to expend a bit more energy and feel better for it. So it's nice.
Yeah, can we like clarify something there? Like, there's a big shift in the kind of fitness space about not treating, physical activity as a means to burn energy, but I feel like that's like ignoring a truth. Like we know that more physical activity does burn more energy, and having something like a step target or something is going to help you
as a minimum.
Yeah. Like some people and I understand like you don't want to see exercise purely from that point of view. Like it's not just to burn calories, but it does burn calories, and having a step target or something will help you.
Yeah.
Because if you go from doing 4,000 steps on average to 10,000, 100% is going to help you cut, because you won't have to cut your food as much.
There's
people that do.
I coach a few clients that do that like 3,000-ish average per day steps. And like for those that don't know, like the Australian guidelines of like not being sedentary is like 6,000 a day. First thing, you got to get the step count up. If they're going into a cut as well, like as a minimum, like you got to get at least over 6. You got to push for 10,000 steps. Yeah. Otherwise, you're just eating bugger all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even just from a general health, like cardiovascular health standpoint, even like
without a doubt.
Just getting more steps in. It's like one of the easiest ways to improve so many health markers. And also just like I feel like to break up a work day or after a big day of work, it's nice. Go for a walk, clear your head a little bit, and
it's always like the common reason that people don't do it is I don't have time, I'm too busy. What do we reckon some good like tactics here for those people? Like,
what about like the treadie after a gym session? How long do we I mean, I don't actually know this, but how long do we reckon you need to be on a treadie at like a chill walking pace to rack up a few thousand?
I say if you want to get like 2,000 steps in, it's like a 20-minute walk.
Yeah. I mean, that's an option.
No, I reckon it's
like if you go fast walking pace.
I go 6 Ks an hour on the treadmill, and that's like a pretty brisk walk. And I think that's it's a kilometre in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly how many steps it is, but if we're saying a metre a step, 1,000 steps, roughly, probably a little bit more, because you're not taking like full metre strides, but
literally just a bit of a walk on the treadie after your sessions, man. Like, I mean, everyone can, not everyone, but 10 minutes extra on the end of your session 3-4 times a week, it adds up.
Yeah, I think where the problem is, it's when people are trying to do all those steps at one time. So they might have been sitting down at the desk all day and they've got 2,000 steps. And then to try go out for, let's say, you're trying to hit 10,000 and 8,000 step walk, like that is going to take a decent bit of time. So that's when it can seem less achievable and like you don't have the time. But, if you can try get some throughout the day, like 10 minutes at lunch, like 10 minutes between phone calls or check-ins to break things up.
Little things, parking further away.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Well,
Easy.
I think some good stuff is morning and night exposure.
Yeah.
So we've been speaking to Mahindu about this, who's a good friend of ours. He's a doctor as well, and for like testosterone optimization, like one of the first things he implements is morning and nighttime exposure to being outdoors and doing some sort of exercise like a walk. That's like the gold standard, amongst other things.
Yeah, well, I just think it's not really a sexy strategy, so people don't. It's often overlooked because they want.
I overlook the shit out of it.
Yeah.
My activity is moving machines around, walking around the gym, like doing walkthroughs. That's my activity. I don't really, and fishing. I don't really dedicate time to doing cardio otherwise.
Yeah.
I get my steps. I get my 6K.
Yeah. And the other thing as well is like I
Sometimes
think
more.
the benefits of actually going for like a bit of a walk that's just a walk on its own, and it's say you're on your feet at work and you're just walking around, you know, doing stuff. Like maybe the step count's the same, but like the other mental benefits of actually just getting out into a chilled environment where you're not stressing. Say you work in hospitality and you're on your feet. Like my mum and dad say they walk so much all the time. They're on their feet for hours a day, right? But that's not going to give you the same benefits from a mental clarity, whatever you want to call it, point of view, that going for a nice walk after work and just chilling out is going to give you.
The best advice I've heard is if you want to bring up your cardiovascular activity, is find a hobby that you enjoy doing that requires some sort of cardiovascular activity. If it's playing tennis or fishing or whatever it is, getting out there and doing it with something you enjoy doing. So you're hitting two birds with one stone.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a chore then, and it's. Yeah, again, getting in a new hobby that's outside of the gym or, outside of being at a workplace. So.
Best part about COVID, man, was like going to the parks and just like everyone
within
was
5 kilometers, of course.
Yeah. And everyone was walking. Like that was just the best. Like so many people out on the bikes as well. Stuff like that. Like,
my cardio is playing COD.
Thumb cardio.
My heart rate through the roof.
Blood pressure,
Go to bed like wired.
Cracking this shit.
Yeah, I was with you on that. That cannot be good for our sleep. But night exposure to being outside and we're just in our rooms.
Anyway, so Cam, you've made a bit of an adjustment to your approach in training.
Yeah, temporarily.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess since I got back from Europe, which was July last year, like I was hitting just like pretty specific powerlifting training very hard, which I loved and really enjoyed. But I feel like for me, after I compete, I'm normally a little bit just, I guess, burnt out from powerlifting, for lack of a better term. Yeah, like it's...
Me too, bro.
You're effectively doing the same thing in slightly different ways for most of your training. So... and I think just the CNS fatigue and the neural fatigue that you accumulate, especially from like redlining, plays a role in that sort of feeling of burnout as well. So, just more of like a bodybuilding, less SBD specific focus for the moment. Obviously, I mentioned in the last podcast, but once the tats are fully healed, I'm going to go back to doing jiu-jitsu probably 3-4 days a week. But it's interesting because I think a lot of people kind of like there's this notion that if you change your focus, like you're giving up or you're quitting or you're doing yourself a disservice. But I guess it's important to remember, like, especially in powerlifting, we're not getting paid to do it. Like most powerlifters make their income through coaching or other means. And it's okay to shift your focus because realistically, it's probably going to help you stick to the long goal for longer because you're bringing more interest into your training. I mean, even if we look at Olympic teams, I think it was the Russians are like very renowned for, after they competed the Olympics, having a 3-month period where they do completely different sports.
Yeah.
Well, that too, but they don't even play their sport for a period of a few months just to bring some of the enjoyment back and get some variety in it.
In powerlifting, like even if you were getting paid to do it, it's a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
Right. At the end of the day, like we're trying to lift as much weight as possible, and we use muscles to do that. So if you can go away from powerlifting and build some muscle, like even if you're getting paid or not, it's probably ideal to try and do some bodybuilding training outside of powerlifting.
Yeah, and
we're big believers in that.
Yeah, and I mean, even if it's I don't know, even if you want to go even further away from that end, like even if it's something completely different, if you've been training for a while, like powerlifting definitely is technical, and there is definitely like a big skill component to the lift, but it's not like that just completely diminishes if you have a less specific period of training. And again, we have these sports that are super complex where the athletes are taking, a full 3 months off and they come back and they're still performing at their best. In a sport where there are far fewer variables like powerlifting, you'll be okay. And again, like if you're enjoying training more, you're probably going to stick to it for longer anyway. Yeah, I think the idea of training having to always be some super unenjoyable grind where you just slog it out all the time, it just needs to go. Like there are definitely times where you might not enjoy it as much and you push to get through, but yeah, you really don't have to be hating what you're doing all the time. And if adding in a bit of variety or just being a little bit less specific helps with that, then I'm all for it. And I think the idea that training just has to suck all the time just needs to die.
Die.
Die. Kill it. It's not just powerlifting too. Like,
yeah.
If the soccer season went all year, I'd be so over it. Like I can tell you right now, every single season since I came back to soccer that I've played, me and all the boys by the end of the season, we're like, all right, we're done. Like we're kind of over it a little bit. Yeah. Even when we had 2 years ago, we had a really good season. Just missed out on promotion, and that was like the most enjoyable soccer I've ever played in my life. And still, by the end of the season, I was like,
thankful.
You don't want to kick a ball for a couple of weeks at least, and then after that, you just want to have some fun and not even think about preseason and stuff. And my approach is go do a triathlon or just do something else, to focus on, because I think having that variability and what you're able to do and not pigeonholing yourself into one sport allows you to then enjoy your, say, primary sport even more when you come back to it.
That part of your season, the out of season time, is where literally everyone I know that plays soccer goes straight into a bro split and tries to get jacked.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, bad.
And
bad.
There's nothing
butcher it
inherently wrong. No, there is a bit wrong with it. There's shit wrong with it. No,
Because you just I think the problem is people think that that's what they need to do, but you actually don't. Well,
they got body composition goals.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Regardless of what style of training they go for, there's still got to be a little bit of focus if they're a soccer player on maintaining
for sure,
some player skill and stuff like that, right?
Of course. Yeah, 100%. I always say to the guys that I coach that play sport, I always say let's get some sort of cardio in, for example. Don't just pigeonhole into wanting to train in the gym full blown. A lot of them will finish season all right, man, season's done. I want to build muscle now. And it's yeah, sweet, but we don't need to forego everything else as well. We can still do a little bit, maintain your aerobic fitness. Let's sign you up for an event or do something that's going to just give you a different focus for a bit, but still in the background, kind of indirectly you're keeping all the qualities up that you need to keep up to still do well next year and stuff. Because otherwise you're in this vicious cycle of bodybuilding for a bit and reducing your ability to stay aerobically fit, and then you go back towards that and you're gassed in pre-season, you feel like shit, and then you're playing catch up, and then you gotta you're nah, I can't do anything apart from that now. So it's one or the other. Whereas if you just do 80%, 20%, way better.
Outside of wanting to stay injury free in season for soccer, outside of that, all right, that's always the goal. Everyone knows that, right? What do you do from a training standpoint to make sure that, one, they stay injury free? Put that to the side. That's the goal. We know that. Yeah. What's the goal? Are we trying to build muscle? Are we trying to get stronger? Are we trying to maintain our strength? What is the goal in season? Because the season lasts 9 months, yeah?
Yeah.
9 months.
So it depends if you include pre-season, that's January to September. Yeah.
So 9 months
you're playing games,
training and stuff.
Yeah.
What's the goal?
I think the goal is, the gold standard back in the day, and this is something I don't fully agree with, is just maintain what you've done in preseason. So you spend, whatever, the off-season and preseason building up strength and all that kind of thing, and then season comes around and you just maintain. And I think for the most part, that's good because the primary goal is to keep you on the pitch, like we said. But at the same time, if you've had, say, 20 minutes off the bench one week and you're feeling really fresh and not very fatigued, like why not push your strength work a little bit? If your fatigue markers are pretty low, you're feeling good, you're sleeping well, all that kind of thing, you can handle that little bit of extra load. And it's going to then, like the number one thing that we're trying to build is strength, because strength improves speed, improves, jump height, all that stuff. All those things improve with strength. In saying that, there's some, different things that you muck around with as well, like working through building better intent and speed with your reps too. It's a little bit different to typical hypertrophy training or just your standard kind of strength training as well. So it looks a little bit different, but the principles are still somewhat the same. We still want to build strength where we can. The RPEs might look a little bit different, the volume might look a little bit different, but we're still pushing training hard.
So what you're saying is it's situational. So if when you said 20 minutes off the bench, you mean they played for only 20 minutes, they didn't play a full game or anything too strenuous, then you might say, hey, this week you can give it a little bit more of a nudge if you like.
Exactly right. And that's like something that's so important from a coaching point of view, and this is why like just a standard program that you give out for say 12 weeks, it just doesn't account for those things. That's one of the benefits of having a coach if you're a team sport athlete or just any sport athlete is we're kind of always tinkering with like, all right, how much is your load in your sport at the moment? If load's quite low, we can top up with some other things. We always want to keep fatigue at a nice comfortable level, but I think you're wasting valuable time and energy that you've got if you're not doing anything.
Everyone I know that plays soccer either just stops training their legs or like just continues on with the bro split hard, and they always end up hurting themselves somewhere along the way, taking a few weeks or months off.
Vicious cycle.
I guess to speak to your point about not aligning with the building strength in the off season and then maintaining through the season, from a strength development standpoint, unless you're reasonably new to training, it takes a lot of time to build strength. Like if your off season's only 2 or 3 months, how much strength can you, you can build some for sure, but you're probably not going to build a huge amount of strength in that. Whereas if you're at least trying to, within reason, nudge it still during the season, you're going to end up much, much stronger overall.
Definitely. And like 1 rep per week, for example, on something like a box squat is very manageable. Barring like I've had a massive game in the week and I'm really beat up, whatever. It's like, cool, let's just like maintain or do whatever. In those, most of the other circumstances or situations, you would just push that little bit, and that little bit over time, it's smaller progress, but it's still progress, and over a long amount of time, it's massive. You chuck in Christmas, New Year's, maybe holidays in the off season, and that 2-3 months becomes a month. So it's just like kind of the thought of like you don't really have time to build strength. Then, if you're thinking in that way, is in my opinion just shooting yourself in the foot.
And then in off season, what's the approach? Like, provided that they don't need to trim down, they're a good body composition. They don't need a cut. What do you do? Like, do you gain them a little bit? What do you do?
I'm pretty with all like kind of athletes and stuff. You want to kind of keep body weight and kind of body composition relatively stable, only because you don't want to start cutting in preseason. So if you do a bit of a bulk, I mean, call it a bulk, it kind of depends how much you're gaining as well. If you end up gaining a kilo over a month or two, you can get that off quite quick, which is fine. But we don't go too aggressive with that. And the other thing is it's very goal orientated too. Like if somebody really wants to push their hypertrophy training and they're kind of competing at like an amateur or semi-pro level, you can get away with it. Like you can do it and you just know there's a slight, risk of being a little bit heavier going into pre-season, and you're going to have to manage being and this is something that I've done with a couple of clients this year, especially my footy players. Like they're, a couple of my guys have wanted to cut some weight and be lighter on their feet because they've spent a little bit of time, maybe like loosely tracking over the break, and they've put on a little bit of body weight and all that kind of thing. And obviously we want them to be nice and lean for the season. Because
why?
Heaps of reasons. But I'd say that the biggest one is just performance. Like you're going to feel and perform your best when you've got a lower body fat percentage within reason.
Well, you're lugging around less weight.
Exactly right. Yeah, 100%. And like if you look at elite athletes, like everything's managed, like micromanaged.
They're lean.
Yeah, and
They're strong.
There's a player that played for Man City. He came into preseason. He was a kilo heavier than what he was like meant to be, and there was a massive thing in the media that he's overweight, this and that, and he did not play. And now he's like gone to a shitter team. So yeah, like that's the level. Like then that's like, say they have 2 months off.
1 kilo
over 2 months. What's the maths on that? 120-ish grams or something. Yeah. So like that's not that much, and really you can get a kilo off in a couple of weeks if you wanted. But like that's how important it is at that level. And like I said, obviously the higher level, the more important I'd say, because like we said before, like pigeonholing yourself into just one thing and obsessing over that isn't always the best approach, especially if it's not your job. If it's something that you're doing amateur or semi-pro level at, you're fine. Like,
this is something you did before you did your knee. The goal in the off season was you were cutting 3 or 4 kilos or something like that.
Yeah. So I had a couple. I had almost a stress fracture in my heel last year. So part of the recovery for that was kind of compromising a little bit of my body composition and body weight to improve the recovery process. So I was eating in a slight surplus and I was gaining a little bit of weight. And then obviously by the end of the season, I wasn't as lean as what I wanted to be moving into next season. So the goal was, all right, let's cut that weight back down, put myself into a good position because I'm not recovering from an injury anymore. But yeah, I just wanted to finish off the season playing, which I ended up doing. But yeah, at the compromise of obviously gaining a little bit of body fat in the meantime.
Yep. Yeah, but then after that, you were cutting in the off season, weren't you?
Yeah, I cut. I got like the leanest I've been. Yeah.
And that was purely for the goal that we just spoke about before, faster.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I wanted to actually go into like this season coming up, obviously barring the knee, but I wanted to go into this season like my most lean, I'll call it, but like my most ready, my most, ready to go kind of version of me, which I knew was a little bit leaner than what I've been in the past. The last 2-3 years, I've pretty much progressively got a little bit leaner at the start of each season. But this year I really wanted to push it like to that elite level just to see what I was capable of. And I would, probably I was at the point where I was like at the level where if I was in an elite team, they were like, you're lean enough, but prior to that, they would have called me overweight for that level. Yeah.
It's powerlifting, we just try and get as heavy as we can get. Field
I
sports, try and get as light as you
I think
can get.
that's probably the old approach.
Well, within your weight class.
Yeah.
Like
but you still want that to be
gradual.
And as much muscle as possible, and at a healthy level of body fat, but keep body fat low. Because when you think of it from not even just powerlifting, but fat tissue, like it doesn't serve a purpose of contracting. So it's having more of it than is needed. It's like maybe in a squat might give you a bit of bounce
If
out
there's
the
a
bottom,
bit, if there's a bit, yeah.
Yeah, but I guess, and especially in a team sport context, it's just your body has to work harder and you're not really getting any benefit from having that extra fat tissue.
And who doesn't want to like look good as well? You get people lean and like people love it. Like you like being lean and not carrying it around. I guess most kind of athletes like being like that. So I think there's that other added benefit of like you get to enjoy your physique. Like no matter what type of athlete you are, whether you're tennis or swimming or whatever, like being lean, you get to enjoy because you're still getting stronger and building muscle in most of those modalities. Like even soccer players at the elite level, you look at them over like a 10-year period, their body fat percentage has barely changed, but they built muscle. They get more jacked the more older they get, and part of that they'd be enjoying the fact that they're building muscle as well. So yeah, there's that hidden benefit of I actually get to enjoy my physique and all the hard work that I put in.
Cool. Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, wrap her up.
Yep.
Now, first thing we'll do a giveaway. We'll do a giveaway from you, Sawan. Sawan's going to do a free individualized program for whoever wants to share this podcast. So if you want to share this podcast, help us get it out there. You can share it on any platform, screenshot it, send a photo of the screenshot to @HUSLA_media. That's Lockie. He'll compile the list of names like he did last week, 0. And you go into the draw to win a individualized program valued at $210 from the man himself. So this is specifically for probably field sport athletes or any sort of hybrid trainers.
Yeah, I guess even
anyone, but the podcast has been centered around your rehab and all that sort of stuff.
I guess so, yeah. Yep.
If anyone's interested in that, someone can do anything really, but this is his focus as a coach. Share the podcast.
These are the easiest giveaways of your life.
Yeah,
You know, we're not drawing that many names. There's not that many people that want to enter it, but the value and the stuff that you win from it is crazy.
I would be like going into these giveaways every single week.
Yeah. There's like 4 or 5 people every week. It's good chances.
They're smart.
Your odds are high.
Now, thank you everyone for listening. We will catch you. I think the girls might do a little segment in between this, but we'll be back in the next couple of weeks. We wanted to say thank you to all the listeners who have supported us, the gym, coaching brand, the online store, Lockie with the videography. Thank you guys. Without you, it doesn't happen. So thanks for supporting us, and we'll catch you guys next week.